Remember when police departments in Oregon were frustrated because they just could not get their new hires into the police academy? And without the academy training, the officers couldn't get out onto the streets. It was a huge problem. Officers like Tigard's Jacob Teeney, hired in October of 2021, did get into the academy relatively quickly, in about 2 months, and that was considered a long wait back then. But by September of 2022, the wait had stretched to 6 months. You could hear the frustration when we talked with Tigard Police Commander Jamie McDonald in 2022.
We didn't used to have that problem. We could hire somebody, they'd be here, do an orientation and some pre-academy work, some initial training for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then we would send them off to the academy. But now we have several months to fill.
All right, so that was back then. Now, the way the massive backlog was solved is a story of creativity and determination. So here's some background. Oregon has one police academy for the entire state. Every rookie officer in the state must successfully graduate to hit the street as a full-fledged cop. It's located on 237 acres in a campus just south of Salem. This is the place where new officers learn to drive fast and use a handheld radio at the same time, how to pull someone over, and as they are discussing in this classroom, how to think about the many sides of use of force. Now, for years, it had a good handle on how many students would arrive for their 4-month classes. Here's the director, Phil Castle.
And this academy was designed for about a 10% turnover in basic policing, right? We have a population of about 5,500 police officers in the state of Oregon. And although we train all the disciplines, that is by far our largest population that we service. So we were designed to train about 10% of them every 2 years. That means our facilities, the templates that we built, our staffing model, all of that was built around that turnover rate, which was normal and held for quite some time. So the average law enforcement officer would stay in their career from 15 to 20 years before moving on to something else or retiring.
By the way, he's using ballpark numbers every 2 years, which is how they forecast these things. The academy actually expected to have 640 students move through its classes. That's about 320 students a year. But in 2020 and 2021, more and more officers retired in Oregon. In response, the agencies went on hiring sprees, and in 2022, 636 students needed to get into the academy, which, remember, was designed for just 320 a year.
Well, when we went through the pandemic, George Floyd, policing reform and those things, and the culture dramatically changed around policing, that changed the turnover rate dramatically and dropped as low as 5 to 7 years retention, which pushed a turnover rate up to and close to 25%. So over double what this academy was designed to train. So it was alarming data. We were projecting roughly about 1,100 students for basic police to be in the biennium.
So double what the average was.
Right, double. And we knew we had a problem.
Yeah, a big problem. It was huge, a massive delay, significant wait time to get hundreds of new officers into the academy, which meant a big wait to get them into the communities that they were hired to protect. Castle was hired in early 2023, and he gathered his team to brainstorm solutions.
So we kind of took a really quick and hard look at this facility, right? And we started considering all kinds of things. Like, do we need to go rent someplace? Can we build, big, quick tents to put up on the facility or what have you? Or is there a different way of templating our courses and looking at our staffing models a little bit differently? And when I say template, my previous academy that I worked at, we ran 256 students through at a time. But they were all taking the same course at the same time. They were in the same class. We had 9 classrooms all teaching the same thing at the same time. So it was pretty easy to figure out how to staff something like that up. This academy runs multiple disciplines at one time, and we run 4 basic police courses all at the same time in different segments. So you'll have one start 30 days later, another will start. 30 days later, another starts. So you'll have a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior classes, all overlapping, all competing for the same venues on our academy, the same space, the same instructors, and so forth.
So not an easy thing to figure out. He said the Oregon Police Academy, by the way, could not run all the same classes at the same time because there's just not enough space. And the problem was not just too many students, it was also too few instructors. You see, for years, the academy had relied on active police officers who were loaned by their departments for the teaching stint at the academy. But then suddenly those departments needed everyone they had to police their own communities. So at the same time the academy had a surge in new students, they lost many of their loaned instructors. Castle called that a perfect storm.
What we arrived at, one was we figured there was a way to template this a little bit differently, where we could scale a course from 40 to 60. So we could add 20 students more into a particular class and focus on one of the largest agencies in the state, which is the Oregon State Police, right? So they are very large. They're the second largest police organization in the state, next to Portland Police Bureau, who is the largest. And they also have training cadre that are housed here on this academy. So Oregon State Police take a lot of slots out of our regular training population. So we figured if we could separate them off into their own separate class, get help from the state police to staff that class, then it would take a load off of the academy proper, a load off our instructors, and we could train more at that time. So we combined those two strategies together, and the governor's office was extremely supportive, as well as the legislature. And we were able to put a package together that added 3 60-person courses on top of what we were already teaching, and 3 total OSP partnership courses.
Okay, so did you follow all that? They put more students into each existing class, and then they added 3 extra classes on top of what they already had. And in addition to that, they got Oregon State Police to separate out to create and teach their own classes with 3 classes of 40 students each.
It was tough. And I like to tell everybody we were popping the rivets right off the sides of these buildings with as many people as we had on campus at one time. I think at one given time, I think we peaked at around 350 students on this campus at one time. And at 237 acres, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot of students. And we were pretty creative. The staff was amazingly creative at how to make this happen. We were using all kinds of, every space we could to train. We did a lot of outside training whenever we could. We retrofitted some classrooms to make them bigger. We knocked down a couple walls so we could fit more people in classrooms. We were very, very creative about when and how we conducted training. And we also had to run training later into the evening. And I kind of explain it like a movie theater. You run X amount of shows during the day, and we had to add a third showing, basically a night show, right? But it was the same training, same quality, same ratio of trainers to students, that kind of thing. We were just running longer.
The Oregon legislature sent the academy $6.5 million to launch the extra classes. They also got $2.5 million to permanently hire more instructors. They'd had to continually ask for special funding for those instructors in previous years. With the new programming now up and running, the wait time for the academy is 90 days or less, which academy leaders say back to normal. So that's how they did it. They hired more instructors, they added more classes, they got creative about when and where they could be taught, and in the end, found a solution that unjammed the system and got police training in Oregon back on track.